Good afternoon, everybody. It is approximately 2:03 on Thursday, May 5th. And we're
That's the hardest part.
I'm like, what is today? And we are convening a tax review board session. Today we have Nancy, the chair, Paula and Dominique Ward, Paula Weiss and Dominique Ward, board members. So we have quorum. My name is Melissa Andre. I'm the executive director, and I have to say this little spiel. Please be aware that this is a public meeting and it is being recorded. Because the meeting is public, participants and viewers have no reasonable expectation of privacy. By continuing to be in this meeting, you are consenting to being recorded. As I stated before, we have a full docket. The first case will be number 1 as I move over to Nancy Medina, the chair.
Something happened.
Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, Nancy, this is case number 1. He is getting settled in the room.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Tax Review Board hearing for May 5th, 2022. Item number 1 is for Juan Rivas. Last 4 digits of the docket 7562. The property address is 1728 North 9th Street. I believe the petitioner was just settling into the room. If you're settled in, please identify yourself for the record.
Yes, my name is Juan Rivas, 3728 North 9th Street is the address.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. When you're ready to speak in terms of the actions for the board, if you could be just a little closer to where the microphone is and be sure that you speak up clearly. We can hear you, but the closer you are, the better the reception will be when the time comes for testimony. Who has this item for the city?
Stephen Wakefield for the city of Philadelphia.
Do you have anyone who will be testifying with you who needs to be sworn?
No, this is just an UPA. So I don't even think revenue normally doesn't come for these. So.
Oh, okay. Do you have any opening comments before we turn to the petitioner?
Do you want me to read the numbers and everything into the record?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. So tax years are 2006 and then 2010 through 2022 inclusive. The principal is $6,799.25. Interest is $2,598.51. Penalty is $502. Other is $1,558.63. The total is $11,458.39. So this is an UPA.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Why is Marge here then if you're going to read the numbers?
Oh, because there are real estate cases. And
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
So this is basically a denied UPA application. It was
Denied by whom?
It was denied by law. And actually there was a default and then there was a new application which was denied by law. And the reason the new application was denied by law was that there was an offsite mailing address. So there is a defaulted tier 4 from 2019. And then there was an attempt to get into a new agreement and that was denied because of the offsite address.
And when was that one denied?
That was denied 12/22 of 21.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add before we turn to the petitioner? Then you'll have time to go back and forth on things afterwards, but we generally get an opening comment from the city and then turn to the petitioner.
Certainly the date of the default of the original agreement, just for the record, it was defaulted June 10th of 2019.
June, which year?
2019.
Okay, I thought that's what you said, but I wasn't positive. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's turn to the petitioner. Please tell us why you are here and what it is you're looking for from this board.
All I'm asking is, there's been multiple times I've been trying to, get in on payment plans, but, what the gentleman just said, I don't know what the offset address mean. Like, I've been denied so many times, but I don't know what that means.
Okay, well,
And moving forward, I don't know how that.
in his opening comments, the city's representative indicated something about another property or a property address. Perhaps you could address that issue, and that might help us to understand what the issue might be.
Well, the only other address I could possibly think of, that was my mother's house, because she used to own the property years ago, but then she gave it to me as of, I guess, 2016. So maybe that's the address that they're talking about.
Well, is that the address that's here before us today on North 9th Street?
Yeah, that's my current address.
Okay, that's your current address, and is that the address that you're here appealing?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas, do you live in that property?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other property that might be considered a residence for you?
No.
Did you make an application for an UPA agreement, an owner occupied payment agreement to the city in December of, or on or around December of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you made that agreement, did you provide a different mailing address for yourself?
No, I didn't.
Okay, then maybe we can turn back to Mr. Wakefield and see where we are.
Thank you for getting that clarification.
So the city has its primary address is 326 East Sheldon Street, which is also the address that he used for his BERT account.
Ah,
First, what? Repeat.
That's also the address he used for his BERT account, BIRT.
Oh, okay.
so Mr. Rivas, what is that Sheldon Street address?
That was my mother's residence, but she's been moved out of there as of.
And do you use that from time to time?
No, not no more. Since I had my property, there was no need for that.
Do you have a business in the city?
No.
You
said BERT account, right, Mr. Wakefield?
Yeah, so he applied for a BERT account, which was open from 2004 on. And the address that he used on his BERT account, and he may never, it may just be like many Philadelphians, he doesn't update his information with us. But when he opened the BERT account, he used 326 East Sheldon Street to do so.
Okay, so Mr. Wakefield, is this a situation where Mr. Rivas needs to simply provide to you documentation establishing that this is his residence and there is no other address?
Right. I mean, at this point, I would ask that he prove it to the board, because the city already he already attempted this. Lisa Bender denied him, and I assume that's why he's here. So if he has some proof, I would just ask that he show it to the board, and we'll abide by the board's decision. If you believe that he lives there, if he provides proof for the record that he lives there, I'm not going to hold up his UPA.
Okay, so Mr. Rivas, do you have with you or available to you documents, utility bills, tax bills?
I do.
Okay, so Ms. Andre is going to come in to the room where you are and get those so that we can see them.
Sure.
Okay, electric.
Okay.
Perhaps for clarification, if you could explain, Mr. Wakefield, if you could explain what that BERT account is?
It's a business income receipts tax.
I couldn't hear.
It's the business income receipt tax.
Oh, okay.
They give me the credit for
The very high. Yeah.
Okay. I was hearing it as a D, not a T, and was having a little trouble understanding what kind of account that was.
Understandable.
But you have your driver's license. Okay, Mr. Rivas has given me his Pico account, his water account, all with the 3728 North 9th Street, and a driver's license that has 3728 North 9th Street. I'm going to copy everything. I'm going to email Mr. Wakefield, but for the board's decision-making in this moment, He also gave me a TD bank statement with that address. I don't feel comfortable copying this. It has his account number on it, but he has given me his TD bank statement. I'm gonna give it back to him, but it does also have the 3728 North 9th Street address.
I'm willing to concede that if he's gone to the effort of getting his bank to mail him at that address and his driver's license says that he lives at that address, that he probably lives there. So if the board wants to grant this,
But do we have any evidence to refute the fact that he doesn't live at the other address that we made the assumption? Do we have anything to show that he's not the property owner of that? The point of this petition or why it was denied is that we're saying he lives at 2 addresses, and there's been nothing that's presented that he doesn't live at the second address.
give me a second. Is your mother Maria Gonzalez?
Correct.
That is who actually owns that other address. I don't know if he lives there or not. But I don't have anything either way.
So you don't have anything that proves or says that he lives at the other address, which was the basis for his 2 denials prior.
Well, at the time, actually he got into one and then he was defaulted. And then when he applied to get back in, there was something, when I spoke to Lisa, she said, we denied him based on his primary address being an offsite address. And she gave me the 326 Shelton. I don't have anything that says that he genuinely lived or didn't live there at that time. That was their thought at the time. That's what I have. I just have Lisa Bender saying, this is why we denied him.
Okay.
But what you're
so
seeing now
Yeah.
is something that you're willing to accept and not counter as far as you're concerned at this point in time.
I am willing to accept it, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Wakefield, I have a question to you. Did he file any tax returns using that BART number?
That I don't know, and I actually don't have access to that because I'm not in major tax.
Okay, thank you.
Does the board wish to go into a back room to discuss, or are they comfortable making the determination right now?
For me, I think that if Mr. Wakefield is willing to concede that the documentation is sufficient, that I'm willing to go on record to grant this petition for the UPA.
Other board members, Dominique, George, do you
Well,
want to step back or are you ready to concur with what Paula just said?
well, we don't have any evidence to refute it, so I would have to concur with the petition, with granting the petition.
I will
George,
do
are
the
you
same.
willing to concur?
Yes,
Okay, and I will as well. And as a result, then the board is willing to approve the UPA agreement on a going forward basis. Is there anything else that we need to do to cover what the city needs from us?
No, once we get the decision, Mr. Rivas will just have to give us updated income information and all that. We'll put them into a tier.
So are there any other steps this board needs to take other than indicating that we approve going forward on an UPA agreement?
No, Madam Chairman. there is.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for coming in and helping to clarify with all of the documents that prove your address.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Okay, and unless there's something from anyone else, I think you are excused and you'll get a letter from us that spells out our decision. And you should be meeting with the city to enter into arrangements in terms of the payment on the entering into a new UPA agreement and making arrangements for payment. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be putting in case number 4.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone
For the
can-
record, case number 4 is for Yiging Chan. Last 4 digits of the docket 4845. Property address is 736 Moore Street.
Stephen Wakefield for the city of Philadelphia.
Okay, thank you. You have this case as well?
Yes. And
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Marge will be reading everything into the.
Okay, so I will have
the
to,
penalty class.
in a moment, we'll identify him for the record and have him sworn.
Hi.
Okay. Good afternoon, Nancy Kammerdiener, and you'll see on the screen, I'm sure, the other participants from the city and the board. If you would identify yourselves for the record, please. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. My name Yiqing Chen, Yiqingchan.
And with you?
My name is Candy Chan, C-A-N-D-Y, and last name Chen, C-H-E-N. I am his daughter.
Okay, I'm going to ask that if you're comfortable without the masks, it helps us to hear. If you're not, we understand. And when it comes time for actual testimony, if you would be as close to the microphone as you can. But this goes to both of you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
像说你不可以批判我什么东西，你是这样子的吗？
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And will you be translating this?
Yeah, sorry, helping him translate.
Okay, thank you. Who has this matter for the city?
So the matters regarding
Oh, wait, just hold on. She's asking for the city representative to speak, so just hold tight.
okay.
I got Steve Wakefield for the city of Philadelphia.
Okay, and you have someone who will be with you who will be providing numbers or other information, is that correct?
Yes, Marge Dillon.
Okay, if you would identify yourself for the record, Ms. Dillon?
With the audit department for the revenue.
I can hardly hear you. Are you on mic?
Yeah, hold on, let me turn it up.
That was a little,
Good afternoon, Marge Dillon with the city.
do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
I do,
Okay, thank you. And I understand you have numbers for the record?
yes ma'am. We have years 2001 through 2013. Principal principal $1,829.53. Interest $9,092.13.
I'm sorry, can you say that part again, Marge?
$9,092.13.
I'm sorry, I'm having a really hard time hearing or understanding Marge. It's like
If I could tell myself,
reverberating.
Garbled all of a sudden.
let me see if I could tell myself up. Any better?
Can you try again? Are you covering up the laptop or the speaker with something? No?
Laptop's over here, I'm over here.
All right. Just keep your voice up, Marge, I guess is the only thing I can ask for.
Okay, we're gonna start from the beginning. Principal, $1,829.53. Interest, $9,092.13. Penalty, $699.52. Liens and legal fees, $1,053.31. Totaling $12,673.39.
I don't know what happened. Nancy, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
sorry about that. I have a feeling that I was muted by you when I had some barking dogs in the house, and I apologize for that interruption at my end. And I had forgotten then that I needed to unmute. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Wakefield, before we turn to the petitioner?
No, just that this was actually granted in full by the master back in August of 2020. And then there was a note, advised taxpayer to contact TRB for new hearing. But so I assume that this is just a case where they didn't pay within the, within the time frame after they got the bill, and they appealed, looking for a revival of the master's decision, because they got everything granted to them by the master.
Okay, let's turn to the petitioner then. Did you hear what the city's attorney indicated? And can you give us any further clarification on where this matter stands from your perspective and what it is you're looking for from this board?
I actually was the one who requested for another hearing regarding.
Can you be a little closer to the mic or speak up a little bit better?
So
Thank
when we
you.
got the revision of the charges, from what we had discussed from the previous hearing was that all of the principles and what is it? So for the interest charges and like anything related besides the actual tax balance due. So a lot of the other charges were supposed to be dropped, but then when we received the actual statement, there were additional charges that was on the statement that wasn't supposed to be. So that's why I requested for another hearing.
Which were the other charges that you were expecting had been removed?
Based on the master's decision, it was basically the additions, interest, penalty charges, and other additional charges. And then, yes, so all that was supposed to be gone, and all he had to pay was the tax due balance. But then when he received the new statement, it included other charges.
Which other charges were you not expecting? Can you enumerate those for us?
Nancy, there's a column that says other charges on the bill.
It's
So when
the-
she
it's the
says other
reason-
charges, that's.
Oh, okay. So they're not identified in a way that, okay, perhaps you can help us to understand and help the petitioner understand.
So there are 4 columns when they get a bill from the city. The first is the principal and the additions, which you don't have, which the board cannot waive the principal or the additions. Then there's a column for interest, which the board can waive, of course. There's a column for penalty, which the board can waive. And then there's a column for other. And so all of the other attorney's fees, lien fees, all of those things, which are also not waivable, fall into that other category. So the
And
only
what kinds of things are those?
attorney's fees, lien fees, anything, any costs associated with the collection of the taxes all falls into the other column. And so the only two of the 4 columns that can be waived by this board are the penalty column and the interest column. And that's why there was no change to those other columns, is that they're outside of the purview of the board.
So thank you, Mr. Wakefield. Ms. Andre, could you elaborate for us on what the master's decision actually?
Exactly. That was gonna be my question.
So at the master's
Minds
decision,
think alike.
on 7/20/2020, 7/20/2020, the master, for the periods in question, the master abated 100% of the interest and 100% of the penalty.
That is the extent of our authority.
Jurisdiction, correct.
So basically, that's going to be the best offer that you can receive either at the master's level and even under the de novo review that we provide at the tax review board level. We're not going to be able to abate the principal tax due as well as the other charges that's outlined by counsel for the city.
I understand. Thank you for the clarification, because I was somewhat confused about the Mr. Sandy. But
I'm sorry that wasn't explained to you better at the master level. This is the master level hearing.
I appreciate it regardless, but so we did find some other issues with the I guess with the statement. So around 2000.
Hold on, before you proceed forward, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So you are still appealing the maximum amount of abatement we can do, that it's at the master level, and you're comfortable with proceeding forward with this hearing, and then at that point, taking whatever adjudication we come to as being binding, and it may not be as generous as the master level hearing.
Okay. I'll just ask them. 就他说他现在时候，他们说他们可以把什么哪个东西拿去改了，只是像你再会说你2014什么那钱付了，还有别的东西你付了，他们可能不会把那个东西拿去改了，你知道吗？
哦，我们就是说，就是2004不要赔了，是不是？
不是，他在说他现在的他现在说的事情。他在讲，他可以把两个东西拿去用掉，就是你在说你还有别的事情你要把他们可能不会把两个东西拿去用掉，知道吗？
但是你要跟他讲，我们2014年已经税都付了嘛。
所以你想跟他讲对吗？
对啊，跟他讲这个，因为我们这个2004年我们税都付了，为什么还要叫我们再付？我们支票都有。
He says he'd like to continue.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear the whole statement.
So she wants to proceed forward with the de novo hearing, meaning that we are officially clearing out the master hearings ruling, and we're going to just take our first impression of this and allow the city to put on their case and everything. Okay. So again, we're de novo, so we don't know what happened at the master level, so you'd have to represent your case. Got it.
Got it. So to start, for year 2014, he actually has a real estate tax bill, which he paid in full without any tax deduction. And he has the actual statement from that year. But however, for 2014, he was charged a tax balance despite paying the full amount.
I thought we were, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. I thought we were doing 2001 to 2013. Did I get that wrong?
I think Marge read the wrong numbers. On the actual petition, she's appealing 14 to 18.
Yes, and actually, as I look at this account, there are no taxes for 2013 and prior. Those were paid off. I'll read the actual balances into so the actual tax balances are 2014 to 2020. The principal is $8,447.68. Interest is $3,421.12. Penalty is $591.33. Other is $1,314.12. For a total of $13,774.25.
Thank you.
Question,
Thank you for clarifying that.
Are we then amending this petition to include the years 19 and 20? Because the face of the petition only says 14, 18.
Discussing about year 2014.
Do you just want to talk about 14, or do you want to talk about 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19? Like, we're trying to understand. I understand that you're talking about 2014 right now, but do you want to talk about the other years as well?
你要跟他们讲像别的年，像2015、2011什么27、18和什么全部的。
我这边都有了，这个是15、16、17、18全部到这边了，我们税都按这个都付了。然后这个2014年是不是？我们这个前一整年全部2000多全部都赔了，我机票在这边不定期的。
So he wanted to talk about the all of the years in total, but right now I'm just talking about 2014.
Okay, so the years at issue are 14 to 2020.
Yes.
Okay.
And do we need to hear about them separately? Are the issues different from year to year, or could we address them cumulatively?
So for 2014, it's on its own, but the other years it's cumulative.
Okay, so 14.
So for 14, there were no reductions in the tax payment. So he paid in full for 2014, but for some reason, it's stated on the bill for 2014, even though he paid for full. And then, so he has his bank statement, or not his bank statement, his bank check that proves that he did actually send a check that went through for the full amount for 2014. So yeah, there's that. And then regarding the other years from 2015 to wait, oh my God, I'm sorry. So for other years from 2015 to 2020, he noticed that the reductions weren't exactly equivalent to the principles shown on the statement. So
I don't understand quite what you mean by that.
So to elaborate, so basically the reductions weren't being added up properly.
When you say reductions, do you mean his payments? What reductions are we talking about?
So as in reductions, what I mean is, so for 736 Moore Street, what happened was that there were reductions of the total amount of the property tax. And basically the new statements were asking him to pay the reductions back.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump in because you're saying reductions, but you're not being clear about what the reductions are because they actually break them down. It's the loop.
Okay.
So if I could actually jump in and maybe shed some light here. There was a loop on this property in 2014. In 2014, anybody who asked for loop got it because there were like 1 million people who wanted the loop program, whether they qualified or not. Revenue basically put them in with the caveat that we're going to audit this. And if we find out that you don't qualify for loop, we're going to take you out of loop. So they went through the audit. Loop was taken off because they didn't qualify. And so the tax balances for 2014 and 15 were restored to what they should be at the assessment times the millage rate, because they had put in a loop application, but they didn't qualify for loop. Now, of course, in the meantime, you get additions because every year, from April to December, there are additions to the principal. And so the tax bill that they get now is not going to look like the tax bill they would have gotten in 2014 because of the additions, because the tax bill that you would have gotten into, at the end of 13 for 14, at the end of 14 for 15, they don't have any of those additions on them. So since these bills were unpaid, the principal that is on any sort of research bill that we have now is not going to be identical to the initial billing amount because it will reflect those additions. And the additions are not interest or penalties.
Thank you. Mr. Wakefield, when was the loop certification rescinded?
It was rescinded in 2017. If you give me a moment here.
Okay, so for 2014, 15, 16, they got a loop bill.
Right. And
did
then
they pay it?
It reflected a lower price for the tax because they were assumed to be in.
And they paid
correct. I do not believe that they paid it, but if you give me a second, I will check. We're going through some changes. We're finally getting rid of tips. And so it's sometimes hard to see what was paid and what was not. So they did pay like $1,000. It looks like they did pay it. They have like $1,000 payment in 14, a similar payment in 15, a similar payment in 16. So it does look like they paid the bills that they were given at the time, and that the balances that remain, which are not terribly high, but the balances that remain do look like they reflect basically that difference, especially if you look in comparison to like 2020, they're about half as much as their current tax bill. So
Is there anything in what you're looking at that would indicate a later bill to the petitioner that was paid or was not paid for that excess amount that would have been paid if loop had not been subtracted.
Well,
I don't know if I said that in a way that makes sense to you.
did we get some extra payments?
Did you
no,
go
so
back and
there's-
bill them for that loop amount that was missing?
Well,
Yes.
if we billed them, but we still only continued to receive one real estate tax payment a year. So we didn't get like a lump sum to pay off those old amounts. You know,
So
it was-
just to
we kept
recap,
getting one check a year.
So just to recap, you're saying the petitioner entered the LOOP program back in 2014. And then upon entrance, they received bills that were billed at the LOOP discount program for 14, 15, and 16. They paid the discounted bill, but then were rebilled upon the audit that was in 17 for those 3 years. And that's the bill that's due and owing. Can you please walk me through what will qualify somebody for the LOOP program? And if somebody knowingly or willingly entered the program knowing they did not qualify, walk me through that.
Sure. So the LOOP program has a few requirements. And the first is that you have to have lived in the property for 10 or more years. You have to prove that you owned it and that you lived in it. You can prove equitable ownership. Your assessment has to increase by 50% or more from the year prior to the year that you would have entered LOOP. So from 2013 to 2014, the assessment would have had to change by at least 50%. And as I look, it did. So his assessment did go from 28,000 to 172,000. Now that's because that was the year of the reassessment. So we went from like a 20% ratio to 100%. And then there are income limits as well. And so you have to be basically, you have to be poor, you have to have lived in the home for 10 years or more. And the indication that I have in the note is that the reason that they were denied was they did not meet they did not meet at the time the occupancy.
Okay.
The occupancy, yeah.
That's what I wanted to get. So petitioner, you've heard all this commentary from the city. Were you aware, or could you ask your father if he was aware that when he entered the LOOP program, he had to live in the property for at least greater than 10 years?
你知道像你进入你上班的前来说嫂嫂，你是要在那边住在10年，对吗？
没有住在10年。
说你为什么去弄呢？
这个我们都不讲英文，我们本来是说1427住在这边的，然后放进去。他 City Hall 说我们有2个，一个是有2个 building， 2个 building 就是1736，他帮我们做，不是我做，因为我不懂英文怎么做。
OK。
是 City Hall 跟他们做的。他说我有2个 building， 就是1420稍微一支，我们是做这个的，但是他 City Hall 呢帮我们做736这个，不是这里做的。是他 City Hall 那边帮我们做的，我们不知道，因为我们英文都不懂。
So I wasn't exactly helping him at that time because I was really, but basically when he applied for LOOP, he had a City Hall employee help him like register, and he wanted to get the LOOP for another property, which was 1427 South 6th Street. However, I think the employee registered him for 736 instead. So that's what happened. Because he doesn't really understand English, so I can understand why there might have been like a misunderstanding there.
Okay. Did you have anything you wanted to add to the testimony beyond what the city just explained for at least those 3 years, 14, 15, and 16, why you received a supplemental bill for the remaining years of 17 through 2020 regarding why you're here today?
你没什么问题，什么就是想跟他们讲。
哦，没有，就是我们这个税，你跟他讲，就是说我们这个税按这个税单出来的钱的，我们都有每年都有付的。就是他突然给我这个，我就感到。
他们什么时候给你这个东西的？
这个是2019年应该12月的。
像他们2017什么新改的时候，他们也没跟你讲你要把那个钱还给他。
没有，这都没有，这5年了，这2009的时候才给我。
So I have one final question, and then maybe we can discuss this as a board. where did your father live in 2014?
你2014你住在哪里？
住在1427。
So during that time, he was living at 1427 South 6th Street.
I'm sorry, what street was that?
South 6th Street.
Okay, and what's the property that this is related to?
736 Moore Street.
Okay,
Did he ever live in 736 Moore Street?
你以前没住在这边？
住哪里？最早有住到那个呀，住3年4年的，差不多4年。
what's
What
the
did
answer?
you say?
So he did live at 736 Moore Street for about 4 years or so.
And when was that?
是什么时间的时候？什么年？
哎呀，我忘记了太久。
没有想，
呀，应该20，我那个是20。
During any of the time period in question, I guess, is what I'm looking
然
for.
后我只记得那个我们把那个2009我这个就租出去。
So
我这个是2011年买的。
This is a simple question. Did you live there or not?
oh,
Between 14 and 20.
so between 2014 and 2020, he didn't live there.
Okay, so who lives there?
So he rented out.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Does the board, anyone on the board have any additional questions?
Nope.
Does the city have anything? Oh, go ahead.
So regarding like another thing, so it was stated that for 2017 the revision occurred, but he didn't get any notification for like to pay back the reduction by 2019 at most.
Okay, which is why the master abated the interest and the penalty and you're still appealing that. So, you know, that's the extent of what he could have done.
你就是按这个 bill 全部都有付给他，就是地税都有
Okay,
付，
so-
都有付给他。
If I can just make
I
some
think
brief
unless there's
argument.
something, does the city have anything to add before the board steps aside?
Just very brief argument. Number one, the tax bills were sent, but his tax bill mailing address is the property address of 736 Moore. If he has a tenant in there, that explains why he didn't get his bills. It's not that we didn't mail them. It's that he doesn't live there and he hasn't given us his right tax bill mailing address. Number two, this is a rental property. So on a rental property where he's got income coming in, he's not paying the city. I mean, we still provide the cops. If the cops come, we still provide the fire department if the building burns down. So I would actually ask that you deny this.
I'll ask him about this. 他说他以前有给你那个纸单在什么2017，可是你没收到，你也没去那个房子去拿纸或什么纸单或什么房租，
没有。
3年前你没去736那边去拿房租什么的东西，你有没有？
有啊，有拿房租。
Okay.
房租他就是支票给我，我就走了。
Okay.
Do you have any final comments, ma'am?
Yes. So regarding what Mr. Wakefield just mentioned, so he does go to the physical property to pick up rent. So I feel like he would have picked up some sort of mail or statement regarding anything related to cities, especially since like he still pays like for the real estate tax bill that you know that he annually receives.
这个地税都记得我
So
们。
I guess that doesn't make sense completely, just because like he would have retrieved the bill just because he physically goes there to retrieve rent.
他这个地税都记得我们这个地税1427。
我知道。
他没有什么事动。
Is there anything else?
Okay, I think the board is ready to step back and discuss this and see if we can reach a conclusion.
Okay, if everyone can just hold tight, the board is going to go into a virtual room.
Oh, 你这个钱全都付了，我也不知道他怎么讲。
都付了为什么？哪有这个？
I know, because you paid in full for 2013. It doesn't make sense to charge you that amount.
你跟他讲，我们这个累计进来，这个地税进来，我们是按这个都有赔。
No, you didn't get a deduction for 2015.
我听在这里。
我知道, I can see your entire statement there. You didn't get the reduction for this, but then you still paid the full amount for
是啊，因为他
2020.
2场1次这个。
我今天好像去哪个位了？我他们
我一点都赔了2000多，还要再往再赔。
没错没错。
他现在叫我们要赔多少？
不是，他现在在讲，就是我觉得他们真的就没弄好，你现在说你还要付钱。
是啊，如果这个没有钱，我们请多了没办法，我们请个户。
还有什么？您的这个东西是谁帮你做的？
什么？
谁帮你弄 loop 啊？
这个是他 CD 货那边弄的，不是我们。
谁叫你去弄啊？
就是他一个打电话进来找一个人翻译给我，很多年，他是做一个
你翻译的人弄错了。
是啊，
那你现在有很多钱啊。
是啊，他翻译的人弄错了，我们没有收他的钱。他说寄聘寄到736波那边去，你看递税都寄到我们1427。是啊，哪有寄的？他说有寄那边，根本就没有寄。他递税都寄到我们这边，他是1427，但是他就是没有寄到我们这边。
Because I feel like even for revisions, they would have sent it to this address.
你这边打这个1117，你看都没有信给我们，都是寄到我们这个address。
我也不懂。
是啊，你问他就是说我们都没有收到信息。
你去那个我也发。
然后我们2014的行政户。
我知道，他那个人那个白人说，他把这个什么改的那个钱什么那个表拿去给你什么736那边，于是你的736的这表钱是给你这边的，所以我也不懂。
那没有哪有这个给我们？这个怎么可以给我们？他随便乱说。是不是？
我也觉得。
是啊，你如果给我的我们那个地区要钱呢，那为什么我们1427那个地区都没有钱？因为我们地区都没有钱，是不是？你就跟他讲，就是1426，就说他有钱，是不是？但是他
我只是不懂为什么他这个 property bill 是他什么736这边，一下他拿去给你1427，他就拿着说你这736的bill可能是去这边的。
没有，他这个adjust是在这边。
对，我也知道，等一下他自己在说你自己没有付钱，我觉得他在骗我。
是啊。然后你跟他讲，你这个都没有进，还有那个1427你都没有进，我都没有进到，我账单都没有进到，是不是？
我知道，因为你2014没有入，等一下你别的年才有，他们2014还是加上去的。
是啊，那你怎么加？就是说我付了2000多，还有那个加1000多块，你这个钱哪里？你等一下再问那个法官。
他们现在在看他们。像他们现在在讲他会做什么的，我也不知道怎么做还是。
是啊，你刚才跟他讲了，就2014。
我跟他讲了，我觉得他自己。
那现在就是那就等他法官给我看。
对，好像那时候的时候，他们还是叫你把这个钱去弄一下呢。
那弄了我们就是不服了，这个我钱都交了，为什么交不回？为什么我们还要上？反正肯定就跟他上。
我觉得他们真的蛮的，他们这个可能会骗你。我觉得。
我们14年行的，还有政治原因。
要改个改的多一点，我不喜欢那白人。
不是现在我们就是说现在，看他法官怎么判。
我知道，只是
他里面都有这个，因为我们都记得。
对，不，他这个说你还要付2014了。所以我觉得他自己没有，他自己想拿多点钱。
Okay, the board is back.
Okay. Okay, the board has reached a decision. It's our decision to grant the abatement for 2014. That means the interest and penalty being abated. But for the years 2015 to 2020, we agreed to abate the penalty for those years. And then we asked that payment arrangements be entered into for what balances are due. And it's important that at that point you enter into the appropriate payment arrangements, because if you don't enter into an agreement and maintain that agreement, what we have granted could go away. You'll get a letter from us that spells out our decision. Both sides have the right to appeal to the Court of Common Pleas within 30 days of the date of that letter. But I'm going to assume for the moment that neither side's going to choose to appeal and that this agreement would go into effect. Do I have concurrence from the other board members?
Paula Weiss, I concur.
Dominique Ward, I concur.
George Matthews, I concur.
And I agree with this as stated. So thank you very much for coming in. You'll get that letter from us in a week or two. And at that point, the time ensues in terms of any appeal to court or discussion with the city for entering into payment arrangements.
All right, the next case is case number 7, Bruce White.
Okay.
Uh,
Thank you very much for coming in.
What were you gonna say, Mr. Counsel for the city?
Nobody, no counsel from the city, GRB or Linebarger is aware of this case. So if I could get the
Okay.
BRT number on it, that'd be great.
Okay, well, we have a docket number here. Do you, I don't have a
will
BR
not-
well,
That will
maybe-
not help. If you give me the property address, I can look it up.
Okay, the property address is 2118 South 70th Street. The docket number ends in 5146 for Bruce White.
Okay, I have it here. Thank you. If you give me a second, I'll see which one of us is responsible for it.
You know,
It's Lineberger, I think.
so the tips.
It is.
You have the BRT number?
I do.
Okay.
So,
I was
so
gonna
it
say, I
is
just found the
Linebarger.
BRT number here on our
Yeah,
file.
Steve, I found it. It looks like it's one of ours.
Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
Okay. I see that the petitioners at the table. I'm just going to ask that now and during the time you'll be testifying, if you come as close as you can to the mic so that we can hear what you have to say. Nancy Cameradiner, the chair, please identify yourself for the record.
Me, I can say name,
Yes, the petitioner, please.
Bruce White.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
I do.
Okay, and again, as you're testifying in a few minutes, make sure that you're as close as you can be and speak directly into the mic so that we can all hear you. Okay. Who has this matter for the city?
Can I ask a question?
Matthew
Yeah.
Arnold for the city of Philadelphia from Linebarger.
I'm sorry, the petitioner was asking me something. What was that?
Yeah, there's a square in the middle of the screen. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be there.
1 second.
I don't know. Does it have the name Stephen Wakefield?
Hold on, Nancy, I'm gonna figure it out. Hold on. I'm sorry about that. Thank you. Okay, we're good.
It's taken care of and identified?
Yes.
Okay. Who has this? You were just giving your identification for who has this matter for the city.
Yes, Matthew Arnold for the city of Philadelphia from Linebarger.
Do you have anyone who might be providing testimony who has not already been sworn?
No,
Okay. Are you going to give us the numbers for the record, or will Marge Dillon be doing that?
I believe Marge will be doing that.
Okay, she was sworn earlier, so that stays in effect. I hope her mic is a little bit clearer this time. Can't hear you
Now we
at all.
can't hear you at all.
Try again. I'm not hearing a thing.
If you need the numbers, I can read them. Marge, I'll just read them. It's fine. You're having
Okay,
some
so if
technical
that's going to
difficulties.
be the case, if you're going to read the numbers, then Marge, can you please acknowledge that they're correct for the record? Because that's actually testimony and he can't be doing that. So go ahead, Steve, and then proceed forward with Marge.
What is this all tax years?
Mr. Arnold, is this all tax years?
Which
It's
tax-
whatever he petitioned, yeah.
Which years are they?
1997 to 2019. Can you hear me, Steve?
Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna have to do some math, but the principal, give me just a second.
4,900.
So the principal number I get is $4,909.33. Okay, and then the
Marge, can you
interest.
attest to that? Yes? Okay. Thank you, Marge.
Okay, then the interest is going to be. I have to back the 22 out of the total, so this takes a second here.
$4,513.05.
$4,513.04. 5 cents. Okay, penalty, let's try it again, Marge.
Penalty, $380.67.
$380.67. Okay,
$2,688.66.
$2,688.66.
Oh, the court,
Yeah.
Stacy's saying, can you just type it in and then affirm? Would that be easier?
Afterwards, I think.
Afterwards. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Marge, if you could just read the total, and then after you're done reading the total, can you put them in the chat so that way the stenographer can have them for the record?
$12,492.71.
$12,492.71. Okay, and then if you put those in the chat. Petitioner, did you hear that? Mr. White, did you hear that?
You're saying that the principal is $12,492.77?
That's the total.
The total, okay,
Yes.
yes.
And the years you are appealing are 1997 to 2019. That is correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, does the city have any opening comments before we turn to the petitioner?
I'm just flipping through the notes to try to get brought up to speed with this one. So it looks like he's had quite a few master and full board hearings that just keep getting postponed and postponed. So I'm not sure we've ever actually reached a decision with regard to his petition for interest and penalty. So other than that, I have nothing else to add. We can turn to him.
For an opening comment anyhow. Okay, then let's turn to the petitioner. Please tell us why you're here and what it is you're looking for from this board.
Okay, well, I'll take that back. Technically, I'm disputing years from 2007 to 2013. Technically, that's what I'm disputing.
What was read into the record from the city went through 2019. Do you not want the years from 13 to 19 included?
Say that again. Where's the city?
The city had identified the numbers for 97 to 2019. And I thought you just said you wanted it to go to 2013. Perhaps I misheard that.
Okay. I don't think I'm really disputing 1997 to 2006. I mean,
So you want to start in 2007 and go through 2013?
yes,
Okay, so why don't you tell us then what was going on during those years and why you're here?
okay. In 2013, the city charged the address $219.78 real estate tax. If you look at the records, the principal, someone went back and changed them because they have in 2013, they charged $255. 2012, they charged $248.45. They charged in 2011, $237.29. They charged in 2010, $215.92. And you see, so from 2007 is $215.92. So what I'm saying is, because I paid the taxes for that property in 2013 at $219.78. Therefore, somebody in the city went back and changed the numbers. So that's what's inaccurate. And so if you're charging me for principal and interest and penalty, if that number is wrong, that means everything else to follow is wrong.
So you're starting in 2013. Did you pay the taxes from 2007 to 2012?
No, but I have the records. And if I paid in 2013 $219.78, how can the city now, on this piece of paper that I have, say it was $200.55? I mean, $255.30. That's inaccurate. That's an error. And
Have you paid any of these years?
I paid 2013. I paid $219.78 in 2013. On the records that I have that you guys sent me, it says the principal is $255.30.
Excuse me a moment. Did you ensure, or can you verify that what you paid in that year went to cover that year only? Because quite often when you make a payment and you have earlier outstanding years, what you paid would go to the oldest outstanding balance. And so I'm just asking you if you looked at that and can confirm that's the case, because the difference may come from that.
Yes, because I have the bill that the city sent me, and I have the cancel receipt. I have the 2013 bill here. That's what they charged me in 2013. I have the check and the back of the check where it says the city cashed it. So this is the original bill that the city sent me in 2013. That means someone went back and changed that to 255 after the amount of years.
Okay, so let's hear from Mr. Arnold now.
Yeah, so I can shed a little bit of light on this. So that $219 payment that he made in 2013, that was applied to the lien sale years. There were taxes that go back to 1989 on this one. So that $219 payment that he made that year was ultimately applied to 1989 and 1990 taxes that were owed to the trust. So that payment was received and applied, but it wasn't applied to tax year 2013. It was applied to the trust years because they were still outstanding.
And that was the oldest outstanding balance
At the time, correct.
at the time.
Okay, but that still doesn't change that someone changed it.
Mr. Arnold, could this have been the result of addition since the bills have not been paid?
What do you mean by
The bills, capitalization, and therefore the bills change through the year until December of each year, depending on when. Maybe Mr.
So
better.
I mean, so it sounds like what happened was he received the 2013 tax bill, paid that amount to the city or Limeberger. I don't know who he made the payment to. Because there were lien sale years on the account, that payment must be applied to them first.
No, I understand
So that's
that.
where
But
that, right.
go ahead. But if he's looking at bills that have varying dollar amounts for each year, the
Yeah,
fact
so
that they
it
have not
probably
been paid would make
Right.
them be different.
Right. So it looks like Steve wants to chime in. He's more of an expert on the city bills.
I understand what you're saying. If I pay the bill, then you applied it to the previous year's first. I understand that. But if you send
Mr. White, hang on. The city's going to give us an explanation here.
Yes, so your assumption is correct. The difference between the $216 bill and the $255 that appears now is because every month from April 1st, May 1st, et cetera, through December 1st of the taxable year, the principal increases. So the amount that's billed, in December of 2012 for 2013 is only accurate up through and including March 31st of 2013. Every month thereafter, it goes up. So that does explain the discrepancy between the current balance principals and the billed principals when that first bill went out. So your
And that would
supposition
happen
is correct.
every year that goes unpaid, not just in the year that he's citing as his example.
Correct. So for every single year in the taxable year as of April 1st, and then the first of every month thereafter, additions of, I believe, 1.5% are added in to the tax bill. That continues until December. And then in January of the following year is when you start to accrue interest. And that accrues on the total principal as it existed, because of all the additions. So that's the reason for the discrepancy.
Okay, let me ask the question this way. If you send the person a bill and the bill says you owe $219, that's the face of the bill. And then you pay $219. And then years later, the word principal means that's what you owed at that date and time. And then if you look at a bunch of bills later, they change the principal to that same year to $255. It stands to reason to me that this bill should have came to me at $255, and then that would have been applied to all the years past. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I understand that it was applied to the years past, but the bill that the city sent me says $219 for that year. It doesn't say $255. That's what I'm trying to figure
Mr.
out.
White, what Mr. Wakefield just explained is the initial bill you get each year is a discounted amount. And for
Okay.
each month in that year that the bill was not paid, it does go up until December of the year. So yes, the bill you would receive now for a prior year is higher than the bill you would have initially received.
Right.
But
That's
that discount is gone because you didn't pay timely. So any discount the city would have offered in that year is rescinded.
And because of this situation, whatever you paid in that year, unless you had an arrangement with the city that it would only go to pay that year, the normal practice would be to take it to the oldest outstanding balance and put that dollar amount you paid on the record for the oldest outstanding balance. And that is the way the accounting system works for the city, unless you have a specific agreement that the money you're paying is only for the year you're paying. And that has to be approved by the city before it can be done that way. You don't just mail that kind of payment in and have it reported.
I understand all that. And maybe I'm phrasing my question wrong. In the year 2013, if the city sent you a bill in the year 2013 for $219 and you pay that bill on time, how can, say, the year before that be more? That's what I'm trying to get across to you is if this bill is 2013.
I just want to also point out something, but part of the issue is that even though you're paying that bill for that year, in your particular case, there were outstanding years. So that is what is throwing this off. There are years you did not pay before. And because there are years that were not paid before, what you're anticipating to happen is not going to happen.
And every time you make a payment, it goes to the oldest outstanding balance, unless you have an approved agreement with the city ahead of time.
I understand everything you say. I want to rephrase the question this way. Let's say today, I get a tax bill for $500. And that's what it says. It says, Bruce White, in the year 2022, you owe $500. And I don't pay it. It says principal, $500. Then 2 years later, that means I didn't pay that one and I don't pay another one. And then the third year, I get a tax bill for that, whatever year that is, and it's $600. And then you're going to apply it to that year I didn't pay for $500. my question is, when you read the bill, it's still going to say for that year, this year, 2000,
It's not, because of
It's not.
capitalization. In December of every year,
right?
what you did not pay that year
Right?
comes and is now part of the principal. It's called capitalization.
Okay,
On December 31st, if you did not pay your tax bill, all the interest that accrued from April to December becomes part of your principal and carries over into the next year. So
And so that changes-
January,
and that
your
changes the
$500 bill on January 1st, your $500 bill is now the $500 principal plus all the interest that you did not pay from April to December. And it
right, but
happens every single year.
okay, but fine, but wouldn't it read principal plus interest?
No, because it becomes part of the principal.
Okay,
The
okay,
interest becomes part of the principal as well as additional interest that is accruing.
okay,
All right?
okay.
I will gladly explain this to you further outside. I promise.
So do
Okay?
we need to step back?
Me?
No. You stay right there. The board is gonna go into another room.
So let me ask you one question. How come you did not make any effort to go to the city and sit down with someone and talk to somebody and clarify all these points before you came to this meeting?
We had the first hearing. And, the judge said I had to go to the, BRT, Board of Revision of Taxes. And I went to Board of Revision of Taxes because that's what the judge, I assumed, thought where my case lied. When I said it was back taxes and I said the city changed the years, which now you explained to me why it is. And then the COVID hit, I had COVID hit and everything got delayed. And then finally, the Board of Revision of Taxes said to me, they do not care about the past. They only cared about the present. And so they didn't care. That was it. Case was over. Then that's when I called you guys and said, okay, Board of Revision of Taxes settled my case. Let's set up a hearing. And that's what happened and all that because of COVID.
Okay. The board is gonna go back into the room and then we'll be right back. So stay right there, Mr. White.
Okay.
Apparently I just left. Hold on, everyone.
Mr. Wakefield, this is the court reporter.
Yes,
I just want to clarify, are you an attorney for the city?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. I'm with the law department instead of being with outside counsel.
Okay, yeah, I understand. I just want to make sure you're properly identified.
I appreciate that.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, I actually can. What did you do differently?
I went all the way out to the beginning of the day and started all over again.
That was a good idea. Much better. Thank you. Thank you for trying that, Marge. I'm just waiting for Nancy to come back in. She's always a little slow. And Paula should be here too. Nancy, everyone is back.
Okay, fine, thank you. The board has reached a decision. It's our decision to deny the petition. You'll get a letter from us that spells out our decision. Both sides have the right to appeal to the Court of Common Pleas within 30 days of the date of that letter. But I'm going to assume for the moment that neither side is going to choose to appeal. And if that proves to be the case, then you should be entering into conversation with the city in terms of entering into appropriate payment arrangements. Could I have concurrence from the other board members for the record, please?
Dominique Ward concurs.
Paula Weiss, I concur.
George Matthews, I concur.
Okay, and I concur with what I have entered into the record.
Ready, sir?
Are there any questions?
For me?
Yes,
No.
no, okay. Thank you very much for coming in today. And we hope that you can get this straightened out by having a payment arrangement with the city that you can pay on a going forward basis.
Thank you so much, sir. If you have any questions, I can answer them over here, okay?
We need to check now. We had one remaining petitioner with 3 items, and I guess Melissa will be double checking.
No, we're gonna do case number 2 now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that we had, I thought we were down to the last ones. Okay, case number 2 is Marie and Paul Legg, last Virginia.
Okay.
2, property address is 5851 Hazel Avenue. Good afternoon. I'm Nancy Cameradiner, the chair of the board. Please identify yourself for the record.
Yes, my name is Garland McCoy. I'm actually the occupier and responsible of the current payment agreement. Grandchild to both Paul and Marie.
Okay, this is the matter at 5851 Hazel?
Correct.
Okay, and if you would repeat what your relationship is to the owner who's identified in our record. I don't know whether you've assumed their relationship or just what it is. I didn't quite understand what you were referring to.
I'm grandchild.
Oh, grandchild. Okay. And do you now have ownership of the property, or are you just representing them? And if are they alive or not?
Both are deceased. I have a deed that's currently in records possession. So waiting on that to get recorded. That's currently the status as of now.
Okay, but you have some paperwork that would show that you're a legal representative of this property?
Yes.
Nancy, he was approved for equitable ownership. He has an UPA. I honestly don't know what we're doing here because he has a tier 4 UPA. So when he completes his UPA, he's going to get a waiver of all the interest and penalties. Like he's already in an agreement.
Perhaps that occurred, the last time this was here was in 2020, and we had not been given any updated information since then.
Right. I mean, I don't know why he applied at all because he's been in a tier 4 UPA since 2013.
Well, let me just elaborate. I have no knowledge of how the process works.
Okay, just a second before you go forward. There's one thing I was going to do at the outset, but I was trying to get your identity. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now we can proceed with the conversation because I had not yet had a chance to swear you in.
Okay.
So Mr. McCoy, you're in a payment plan according to the city's representative, Mr. Wakefield, correct?
Correct.
And you're making those payments,
Correct.
correct? And you're here asking that interest and penalty be removed from the account? Is that why you came here?
Correct.
Okay, so what Mr. Wakefield has just explained is that when you complete that payment agreement, that will automatically occur.
Okay, and that's kind of what I wasn't aware of the process.
Okay.
So, okay, that makes sense.
If you continue to make those payments and complete that agreement, then the part of that agreement and that process and program will take care of those charges. Did I state that correctly, Mr. Wakefield?
Yes, exactly.
And if that happens, is there anything else that is in question that can or should be addressed by this board today, or will that take care of everything once the process moves forward?
On my behalf, yes, I think I'm good with everything, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
then we can mark this no action needed.
Yes.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay, let's get concurrence of the board members on that.
I concur, Paula Weiss.
Dominique Ward concurs as well.
George Matthews concurs.
And Nancy Cameradiner. So the board concurs. We thank you for coming in, getting everything clarified, and we thank you for entering into an agreement and working forward on it. And you'll work with the city then in the coming days to ensure that all these arrangements are finalized and the amounts that you're expecting to come off your record.
Thanks much, and I appreciate your time as well.
Okay, and thank you for your patience today.
Sure, thank you.
All right. That leaves cases 3, 5, and 6.
Okay, and do we have someone here for them?
No, it is approximately 3:25. There is nobody else left in the waiting room here at 100 South Broad Street or in the Zoom waiting room.
Has the city heard from, what is the name? Svendian Mohammed?
Imam Muhammad actually paid one of these off. So number 6, 5803 Crittenden has no balance. That's the only one that's with the city. The other 2 are, one's Linebarger, one's GRB.
Okay. Does, see the representative from, is it from Linebarger? Is he still here?
Yes.
Do you have one of these matters, either 3 or 5?
So I have a combination. Number 3, there's a lien sale balance on that one. So I'm here for that. And then number 5, Linebarger has 2016 through 18, and I think the city has the remaining years. But if the petitioner is not here.
Oh, right, I just trying to clarify who has what and whether you have any information that would take them off the agenda.
I don't for those 2 know, and I think GRB has the city years for number 3. I don't know if she has any.
Yes, I have number 3. This matter.
Please identify yourself for the record. I don't think you were identified.
Sorry, yes, Alina Sarafi on behalf of GRB and the city. I have number 3, which is 5801 Crittenden Street. This matter has been percolating for some time. It's been continued, and the petitioner has failed to appear 3 times, I believe. I believe we were waiting on an UPA nunc-pro-tunc action that the petitioner had filed. When we were checking in on what the progress was with OPA at the last hearing, the petitioner failed to appear. So my understanding—
Was that last hearing full board or was that master? I just want to clarify.
I believe it was a master hearing,
Okay.
and that was October 30th of 2020.
Okay, because that needs to be clarified. It may or may not have been here before. And that's why I wanted to have that on the record. So this might be the first time it's at the full board.
I believe so, but I'm not positive.
Just by way, the petitioner often does not come to court, even at the Court of Common Pleas. So he sold 5803 Crittenden, which he got us to unwind, but part of that was he never came to court. Like, he just doesn't come to court.
Okay, so are you suggesting that we deny for failure to appear?
Well, on the cities, on number 6, I would say no action needed because there's no balance.
Okay.
So can we vote on that before we start getting confused? Can we just go in order? I think that would be very helpful. Especially
Okay, so the first one is item 3, which is for 5801 Crittenden Street.
correct.
For that one, the Alina Sarafia, that's the one that I have for GRB in the city. I would ask that be denied at this point in time. There were multiple UPA agreements that were tried to enter into that he had multiple UPA agreements for different pieces of property. Then there were 3 payment plans that he defaulted on all 3. Now there's, an outstanding nunc-pro-tunc to deal with the assessment of the property. And as I said, just for this one matter, he's failed to appear 1, 2, 3 times. And it's been going on since September of 2018. So at this point in time, I would ask that this be denied.
Ms. Andre, can you confirm that there have been multiple FTAs?
Yes. There was a continuance for, I believe, September of 2018. Denied did not appear in February of 2019. Another denied did not appear on February, well, that's the same one. There was
Is that at master's level or full board?
This is the first listing before the full board.
Okay.
There was another failure to appear on
October 30th of 2020.
yes, and then a continuance on June 3rd of 2019. I'm sorry, there's been a lot on this one.
Yeah.
Yes, October 28th of 2020, denied did not appear. And that is why it was put before the board, because we don't continue to put rehearings before the master. So.
Okay, so if we indicate that we're denying it for failure to appear, and acknowledging that there have been multiple times for failure to appear at the master's level and now at the full board level.
So no further hearings?
I would advise so.
I would concur with that.
Dominic Ward concurs with that.
I concur with that, please.
Okay, and Nancy Camerino concurs as well.
Okay, can we move on to case number 5?
So case number 5 is for 407 East Penn Street. The last 4 digits of the docket are 5208. Who had this one, the city, or is this a GRB?
This is a hybrid.
It's actually
between-
yeah, go ahead, Steve.
This is a hybrid between me and Mr. Arnold. The city has the later years. I don't know why they weren't assigned to Linebarger. And I'm guessing
Or it was
that,
Linebarger, not GRB, excuse me.
right. And I'm guessing that probably within a few days they will be assigned to Linebarger. So whatever Mr. Arnold wants,
Whatever he wants, he gets. Huh?
Right.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, yes, we would request this be denied, failure to appear. It looks like he's had a couple continuances, some requested before the hearings. He was waiting for an OPA appeal. The last one, I believe he was denied in October of 2020 for failure to appear. So the same as number 3, we request denied failure to appear.
Those denials that you're citing are all at the master's level, or are any of them at the full board?
I believe so. Melissa can confirm that.
Yes, they were all at the master level.
I would just add, in terms of whether it's the master or not, you shouldn't be allowed to treat the master as a speed bump, right? Like, not coming to the master should be the same as not coming to the full board. Otherwise, why have the master?
Thank you for your commentary, Mr. Wakefield. Let's move on. Board, how will we move on to this case?
So we're looking at a denial for failure to appear.
And how many continuances or failures to appear has there been on this case?
There was one continuance in September 23rd of 2019, and that was continued for OPA. And then I have a failure to appear 10/28/2020.
And again, those were at the master's level.
Yes.
This is their first time here.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Madam Chair. I have 2 continuances before that one in September also. At least those are from my notes. Melissa's is probably more accurate. But either way, I don't think he's ever actually been here.
He had another continuance in June of 2019.
Okay, so he may have been here. They were continued for random reasons, but he failed to appear at the last hearing. So.
Okay. Board, just denial for failure to appear? Paula?
I would say no further hearings, just looking at the entirety of the circumstance, that you get so many bites at the apple, and we've got other people waiting who have now been pushed further back when someone gets multiple listings and doesn't show up.
Just for clarification, he was only listed before us for his failure to appear at the master level, right?
Correct. These are the first time that it is before the board.
Yeah, but it was precipitated on the fact that he did not appear at the masters, and then as a result, he exhausted those, and now he's before us. Okay, so the denial with no further hearings listed. I concur with that.
Okay, George?
George Matthews, I concur.
Okay, and I will agree as well. So that's no further hearings. denied for failure to appear and no further hearings. And we had already identified for item number 6 that there was no balance due and therefore no action needed. So that takes care of all 3 of those items, 2 of them with no further hearings, denied for failure to appear, both at the master's level and now today. And that would conclude our agenda for today,
Did
unless
you
there's something
concur?
we've missed.
With no action needed? Do we need to concur?
I thought we had, but
I don't, did we?
we can do it again. But I think we got it on both item number 3 and item number 5. They were, we voted on both of those.
But for item number 6, no action needed. Dominique concurs with that. Dominique Ward concurs with that.
Okay, and that there's no balance there and no action was needed. And I thought we had concurred on that before, but if you want to do it again, just to be sure, I would concur. Paula?
Paula White, I concur.
George?
I concur.
Okay. That way, if we did miss it before, it has now been handled within our minutes. And unless there's something else that I have not been aware of, this hearing is adjourned. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye,
great
everybody.
day, everybody.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.